call to order our open meeting and start with a roll call, please.
Here.
I am present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Present.
Okay, next is public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. Do we have any public comments? We do not. Board correspondence. Does anyone have anything they want to share out? I think since our last meeting, I did attend a benefits insurance committee meeting, and it was just an update, and I am really sorry I don't remember exactly what the updates were, but I went to it. Anyone else? No? Okay. And I'm going to move past item C, or subject C, the student board member correspondence. Subject D is the acceptance of a donation from the Carrie Krushik Memorial Scholarship. And this is $1,000 to be used for this year's Carrie Krushik Memorial Scholarship, $10,000 to be deposited into the reserve fund the district maintains in Carrie Krushik's name. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the consent agenda, and it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items A through C as attached. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Old business, subject A is the letter of agreement between DCTA and the District 428 School Board for an SEL specialist summer hours, and this is an action item that was brought to us by Kyle Gertis and Deetra Salas. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the LOA regarding SEL specialist and summer hours. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Subject B is the letter of agreement between DCTA and the District 428 School Board for special education facilitators summer hours, and this is an action item that was brought to us also by Kyle Gertis and Deetra Salas. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the LOA regarding special education facilitators and summer hours. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 And subject C, out-of-state travel OCDE Project GLAD Math Summer Institute, and this is an action item brought to us by Billy Wermo. And it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the out-of-state travel request for one teacher and one administrator to attend the OCDE Project GLAD Math Summer Institute June 5th through the 7th, 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You got that? All right, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 And then subject D are the bid requests for the district build-outs brought to us by Tammy Carson. It is an action item, and it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the base bid, alternate bid number 1, alternate bid number 1A, and alternate bid number 2 for the district build-outs in the amount of $695,000 to Irving Construction, Inc. in DeKalb, Illinois. Is
I
there
have
a
a question.
You have a question before we read the motion?
I do. So item 1 is to renovate the space in Huntley Middle School's choir room. And is that the renovation that we would be doing to make that basically accommodate lunch, and then would that transition choir to the auditorium?
That is the alternate bid 1. I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your comment.
Just is this the one we talked about where choir would be going to the auditorium versus the choir room?
That is correct. I worked with the Huntley Middle School Fine Arts Department. Chris Jones and Kelsey are both in the audience, and we worked collectively together to put together the numbers that are in here and make sure that we did have everything that was necessary to make it a successful space for the choir program to move into.
So I guess I just want to be sure. So we would be moving choir students to the auditorium for class.
That's correct. The choir classroom would take over the auditorium. We've worked with administration and cooperatively we've come up with a plan on how this will work for the class as well.
Okay. So I would like to ask my fellow board members. I did a lot of research on this because I was concerned about it. There's a major difference in the acoustics required for rehearsal versus the acoustics required for presentations. And so to really properly learn to sing well, you need an acoustically appropriate rehearsal room. And so I don't think that it's in students' best interest for us to make this transition from removing them from the choir room and putting them in the auditorium for practice because of that. And so with that being said, I would like to make a motion to remove alternate bid 1 and then go ahead and accept the rest of the bid.
You want to make the motion before we discuss it, I guess?
We can discuss it.
Well,
Tammy, can you speak to that at all?
Actually,
I was
I'd
gonna see
like
if
to
maybe-
invite Chris Jones if we could. Chris is the choir teacher, if he's willing to come up and speak in regards to this, because we had some in-depth conversations about this, and again, it's his classroom, so I would feel that'd
Sure.
be more appropriate than me.
As he's coming, this wasn't like, I guess this wasn't, it's not necessarily the ideal solution, but you felt it was the best solution regarding lunch space as well?
Correct.
Okay,
Through
I'm sorry.
discussions with administration and with staff.
So what is the explanation or insight you're seeking exactly? So I can answer that.
can you speak to Sarah's concern, please?
I guess basically, if you want to just verify that that the acoustics of a rehearsal room are very important for student learning versus the acoustics of a performance space.
Yes, I do. I agree to that. Tammy and I walked through the auditorium. Some changes are said to be made to the auditorium as well, as far as I'm understanding, in terms of making it more acoustical, in terms of all the cinder block and the things of that nature. It is not ideal, and I am agreeing with you there. I was trying to meet my administration and all parties participating in the middle,
Sure.
because my classroom is near the lunchroom situation currently, and it is extremely unfit the way I see our lunchroom operating as it is, in terms of safety, sound, and just overall well-being. So I was trying to meet them in the middle. It is not ideal, and I agree with you.
I
If there was a
appreciate
better
your,
solution, I would
Yeah.
like to find one. However, I was trying to do what was best in the interest of the whole school community,
okay.
and maybe give a little of what is ideal to the bigger picture. So your research is correct, and I do see that. I was trying to isolate part of the auditorium rather than using, the students will not be on stage.
Mhm.
We will be isolated to a small portion of it to try to compensate for that acoustical disadvantage that you spoke of.
Okay.
But I do share that concern as well. I hope that-
Absolutely,
Yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate it.
One of the pieces I do want to mention that we are going to be adding, that's included in the cost on the second page of the recommendation, are acoustical sound panels similar to what we have in our gymnasiums, so that will also to assist with the sound issues in that space as they were sitting in the audience for most of the classroom time.
So, thank you. I still, in light of this, I think that it's in the best interest of students and that program that we try and seek another solution. I think that we shouldn't disrupt our choir room because of the nature of what we're trying to accomplish. And
So you're making that motion?
yeah, I
Is-
would like to make that motion.
Is there a
Unless there's
second?
more discussion.
Well, I guess, is there any other option?
Again, if I may, we've had numerous meetings with administration and the fine arts department and looked at a lot of spaces around the building. There is no ideal solution for several, Ms. Parker, and maybe you can even help me. It's been several years that we've been splitting lunch and using the auditorium as a secondary lunchroom space, so that half of the lunch, the students eat lunch and the other half spend the second half of lunchtime when they can't go outside or,
And
such, she can come up.
I've worked, actually, I volunteered at one of the lunch times, and they are split in the auditorium, in the gym, and in the lunchroom, so space is very limited.
I'm not
This is-
I've been there
necessarily
for lunch too.
disregarding the lunch
Yeah.
space issue. I'm more or less saying, you know, is there a classroom that's ever empty at that time? So, no. So they
This
really
is
don't
the
have
sixth
anywhere to
year that this is the 6 year that this has happened. It also it was a safety issue. It also was after a report that Northern Illinois University's hearing clinic came out and did, and they measured the decibel levels that were in the lunchroom with having that many students in, and they let us know that long exposures to such noise level could damage children's hearing if you know, to a place where it couldn't be corrected. And then of course it was service, being able to get all of the students through and allowing them enough time to eat. So lunches have been split. This is again the 6th school year that this is happening.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's denying that we gotta fix the problem in the lunchroom. I guess we're wishfully thinking there might be another option here, but
I wish we had another. We've looked at many, trying to come up with this over the years, whether it was Ms. Parker that was the principal, or Ms. Redmond, who's the current principal, trying to come up with different options. We're limited. We're just limited on space with number of students and our time restrictions we have. All of our spaces at Huntley are being utilized to the point that we are looking to renovate other spaces in the building to be able to accommodate classrooms. So that started up with these 2 rooms behind you and has kind of grown to some other spaces in Huntley that we've had to renovate to make student spaces. But to find one that will handle half of a lunchroom capacity or student capacity of a lunchroom, there isn't. Because we have our gymnasium is utilized by the PE classes during that time. Our PE classes go to the sports and rec center at times because we don't even have enough space for that. It is a matter of a space issue, and you know, the option that came to our attention that seemed to be a fit that could work was the choir room.
But we do use the gymnasium and the auditorium during lunchtime though. Is there, what was the issue surrounding that? I heard you say that there's PE classes. When I've been there at lunchtime, it was open to lunch students in the gymnasium, and then they were also in the auditorium.
I don't believe they're in the gymnasiums. I don't know if there's someone from Huntley that can. Chuck?
Usually what we did is if it was a nice day out.
Oh, can you come up to the mic so that those watching the stream can hear you, please?
I'm Chuck Harden. I've recently left Huntley. I went to the high school, but I was a security assistant there here at Huntley. It is a tight space. I guess it does sound good, but the only concern that I have, and I've spoken with Matt, who's still here, is how are you going to have all the lunch have the students get their lunch at the same time? Is the concern that I believe that we have. Sometimes they do. It depends on if you can do the schedule, like you say, if they're going to the rec or not. There does need to be something done because the auditorium is getting worn down.
So I guess that's the more of the issue is the auditorium's getting worn down, the seating or the.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess the only concern like I have is how are they all going to eat at the same time and get lunch in a timely manner.
Okay.
So, in terms of when do we have PE classes? We have PE classes 5th hour and 7th hour, so that's 2 of the 3 lunch periods.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. So there's a motion out there. Is there a second for that motion?
I don't know how to second that motion with absolutely no alternative. That's the problem.
Well, I guess to seek an alternative. If the issue in the auditorium is that the seats are getting worn down, is there somehow a way that we can work around with that?
Is there any way that we can, like, transport the choir students to the high school to practice? We have a pretty good setup there.
He's saying no,
Oh,
for those that can't see him at home.
And I would like to note, it's not just about the chairs getting worn down. They are getting damaged. The area does get damaged when you're putting that many students through
sure.
during a time when it's an unstructured time. But if you've ever been there, been to a lunch period in the auditorium, the behaviors are a little more challenging, I'll say, to manage in that space. I'm hopefully getting some nods from the Huntley staff from what I've witnessed. And for that matter, it again gives us a different opportunity to be able to handle the group of students going through.
So coming back to the motion, is there a second? Hearing no second, then the motion does not carry. And we move to the original action. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the base bid, alternate bid number 1, alternate bid number 1A, and alternate bid number 2 for the district build-outs in the amount of $695,000 to Irving Construction, Inc. in DeKalb, Illinois. Is there a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a yes, with the caveat that I certainly hope that this isn't the end of the discussion about our choir kids, and I definitely want the public to know that we're very concerned about the arts and that that it is a priority. But unfortunately, the needs of the many maybe outweighing the needs of the few at this moment, which is unfortunate. But I'm hopeful that you guys will continue to make an effort to find a space for them.
Thank you, and thank you to the fine arts staff, Chris Jones and the group for the help as we put this plan together, knowing it's not the most ideal situation, but their cooperation was really important in this process. Thank you.
Next is new business administration, subject A, and this is school psychology internship for 23-24. Information by Kyle Gertis.
Good evening. As part of a school psychology graduate program, what our graduate level students are required to do is at least 2 years of coursework and then a full year of internship if they're completing a specialist degree. We had one of our current school psychologists, that intern needs to be supervised by a certified school psychologist. We had one of our school psychologists this year express an interest in taking on an intern. And so we kind of started the process of seeing, accepting applications, having some interviews, seeing if there's a good fit for us. We have identified a candidate that we would like to make an offer to, but before we do that, we want to make sure that we are coming to the board, since it is technically a position that would be paid. One of the unique things about school psychology internships is that it's a full year internship, so they basically work as if they would be a school psychologist, meaning they would follow that 180-day kind of contract. 5 days a week, all day. And even after they graduate in May, they're required to finish out whatever that school district's term is. Because of that, it's very commonplace for school psychologists to be paid by their district that they have. The amount of money they get paid varies significantly, and it varies by state and districts within the state. So, for example, I went to Western Illinois University, so Illinois was competing with Iowa and Missouri. Iowa and Missouri typically provide up to $45,000 to $50,000 for their internship year. However, those interns are treated as if they're a full-time psychologist and generally don't have the type of supervision that we here in Illinois, or at least our district, would offer. So what we would like to do, where we think we are pretty competitive with our surrounding area, is offer $15,000 for the intern for the entire school year. That would be paid for out of our IDEA grant, and that would allow that person to get a lot of supervision from a certified school psychologist, be compensated for a little bit of further time. And I do want to say this is one of the best ways for us to hire a school psychologist, is to have their foot in the door, so to speak, as an intern. That go really well, and then offer them a position if we have one. I'm actually proof of that. So I would recommend that the board consider approving $15,000 out of our IDEA grant for one intern for next year. And with that, I'll offer it up. Any questions?
great opportunity to create that pipeline, so.
Just need to have agreement to bring it back then.
Is there consensus to bring it back for action?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
And good luck with the interview process.
All right, next is the superintendent update and superintendent report.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to have everybody back from spring break. I hope everybody enjoyed their time off and are well rested as we begin the end of our school year and we're preparing our children to transition into their next school year. First and foremost, I'd like to inform everyone this is Assistant Principal Appreciation Week. So we want to make sure that I let APs know that I much appreciate everything they do for us in our buildings each and every day. Thank you for all of your hard work. Tomorrow is our paraprofessional day, so we want to wish all of our paraprofessionals a happy and thank you gratitude day tomorrow for all of their hard work as well in working with our children each and every day. I'd like to congratulate Trevita Redmond, the principal of Huntley Middle School, who is now Dr. Trevita Redmond as of last week Monday. So we're very happy to have another doctorate on the payroll here. So congratulations, Dr. Redmond. Next up, I wanted to take a moment to thank Tammy and all the facilities and all the folks over there for the wonderful work they did in first transitioning us over to the NIU building while we renovated and fixed our HVAC system and all those good things that need to be done over at the Ed Center. And just recently, over the past week, she's moved us back into the Ed Center. They've done a great job and continue to do great work. So thank you so much, Tammy, and to all the crew for that great work. Next up, yesterday we had our first meeting for the design team on the new building. We had all of our individuals, most of our individuals that were invited did attend. We did have a couple of individuals that we're still waiting for. We'd like to invite a new member of the board to join us after the elections tonight. So there's a few other spots that are still open. We would like to be able to convene that meeting. Next meeting is on April 17th, I think. Okay. So we'll make sure that we have everybody there. Good things are happening, and we will keep everyone posted and up to date. By saying that, I'm asking for a new standing category option to be added to the agenda under a new building. That way, we will always have an update for every conversation, meeting, any new agreements that need to be done during that time, and it'll be a standing option during that time during our regular agenda. And then, of course, finally, we had a bad storm on Friday. I don't know if you all heard. But I'm going to ask Tammy to step up to talk a little bit about the damage that we did incur here on this campus, unfortunately. And she had an opportunity to talk to our insurance and all of those wonderful things, and she has information to share.
I have some very basic information to share. If you weren't aware, we have a reddish Morton building on the back of this property that houses all of our grounds equipment. My understanding, it's been here for approximately 40-ish years. And that building sustained damage from the storm. It tore off 2 sections of the roof, some of the sidewall, and caved in on some of our grounds equipment Friday night. And one of our trucks, the window was blown out of the back of it from damage. We also had a salt bin back there. It used to be our old greenhouse when we were the high school. We had transformed that to a bin to hold our road salt. That is pretty much gone. The structure has been completely damaged and will not be able to be rebuilt. And then we have a lean-to back there that is leaning a little too much to the side now. So that will have to be dealt with. The biggest concern is our grounds building. We will be have to have a structural engineer to check it out because it is a wood frame structure, and over the years there has been a lot of wood rot that has happened in the roof and the sidewalls, and that has been very evident as we have had to try to repair the damage to get through the storm of today and tomorrow potentially. And we're not sure exactly yet what can be done, if anything, in regards to repairing that building. So we will be waiting for more information from the insurance company and a structural engineer in regards to what we can do to move forward, because housing that grounds equipment is very important. And just like everything else we're dealing with, we don't have extra space for that equipment somewhere else on our properties. So as more information is available, I'll be sharing it out.
Any questions? Definitely, we have some concerns, and this won't be the last time we hear of this. So we just wanted to make sure that everybody heard from us directly what occurred and where we currently stand. And then we'll continue to update the board and everyone else as to what our next steps will be to ensure that we have materials and things are safeguarded to ensure that they continue to work appropriately. That's it for me. Thank you, Tammy.
Any questions?
Thank you, Tammy and team, for all the work that you all did.
Okay, with that then, our meeting will be adjourned. It is recommended that the Board of Education adjourn. Is there a motion?